The story begins in 1998, on the Lower East Side of New York City. A young man named Hank Thompson works as a bartender at a small place called Paul's Bar. Life for Hank is simple but repetitive. He spends most nights behind the counter serving drinks to locals, listening to the jukebox hum in the background. When the night is over and the bar closes, he usually calls his mother in California to chat about baseball. They both love the San Francisco Giants, and it's one of the few things that keeps him feeling close to home. After finishing work late one night, Hank returns to his small apartment with his girlfriend Yvonne, who works as a paramedic. On their way inside, they bump into their neighbor Russ Binder, a talkative British man with an outgoing personality. Russ tells Hank that he's planning to travel back to London to see his sick father and asks him for a favor, to look after his cat, Bud, while he's gone. Hank agrees, even though Russ can be a bit annoying. As they chat, another neighbor named Dwayne, who's nosy and likes to gossip, sticks his head out to make conversation. After a brief exchange, Hank and Yvonne finally head inside, where they share a passionate night together. The next morning, Yvonne leaves early for her paramedic shift. Hank is still at home when he hears loud banging from the hallway. Curious, he peeks out and sees two rough-looking Russian men, Alexei and Pavel, pounding on Russ's apartment door. Something feels wrong. Hank tries to talk them down and keep them from breaking in, but things get violent fast. The Russians mistake Hank for being involved with Russ and start attacking him. Pavel kicks him repeatedly in the side until Hank loses consciousness. The story then flashes back to Hank's past, to a time when he was full of dreams. Back then, Hank was a promising young baseball player, driving on a sunny afternoon with his best friend Dale. They were laughing, talking about their future careers, when a small cow suddenly wandered into the road. Hank swerved to avoid it, but the car spun out of control and crashed into a pole. The accident killed Dale instantly and shattered Hank's leg, ending his baseball career forever. Back in the present, Hank wakes up in the hospital, bruised and in pain. Yvonne is sitting beside his bed, her face full of worry. She gently tells him that he was in a coma for 2 days and that doctors had to remove one of his kidneys to save his life. When Hank finally returns home, Yvonne tells him that she loves him but wants him to stop living in the past, to take their relationship seriously and think about the future instead of drowning in regret. Hank tries to change. He promises Yvonne he'll do better and even pours all his alcohol down the sink. Later, while doing laundry, he notices Alexei and Pavel again. They're back, this time trying to break into Russ's apartment. Hank manages to sneak away quietly and later contacts Detective Elise Roman, a tough police officer, to tell her about the suspicious men. Roman explains that Russ has been mixed up with 2 dangerous Hasidic Jewish gangsters, Lipa Drucker and Shmuley Drucker, powerful brothers known for running shady businesses. Hank insists he has nothing to do with any of them. Roman advises him to stay alert and call her if he learns anything else. Later, when the police leave, Hank goes to check on Bud the cat and hears something rattling inside one of the toys in the litter box. He finds a small key hidden inside the squeaky toy. Looking through the peephole, Hank sees the Drucker brothers themselves trying to get into Russ's place. Panicking, he calls Roman and leaves her a message about what he found. Feeling tense, Hank decides to go to Paul's bar to calm his nerves. He drinks too much, drowning in guilt and confusion, until Yvonne finds him stumbling on the street. She's upset and worried, but Hank breaks down, telling her how his accident ruined everything. His dreams, his future, his sense of purpose. She helps him get home and he passes out alone. The next morning, Hank wakes up in his apartment only to realize he's not alone. The 2 Russians, Alexei and Pavel, are there again, this time with another gangster named Colorado, a dangerous man with a calm but violent presence. They've even hurt Bud the cat to make Hank cooperate. Colorado interrogates Hank about the missing key and Russ's location. When Hank doesn't give them answers fast enough, they start beating him again. Just then, Dwayne knocks on the door, interrupting the scene. Colorado orders his men not to draw more attention, and when one of them threatens Dwayne, Colorado gets furious for breaking his rule. He tells Hank to find the key and warns him that if he contacts Detective Roman again, they'll kill everyone close to him. Beaten and bleeding, Hank takes Bud to Yvonne's place for safety. She is terrified when she sees his injuries, but he assures her he'll fix everything. Hank then goes to a payphone and calls Paul, thinking maybe he left the key at the bar during his drunken night. Before he can get far, he's spotted by the Drucker brothers, who start chasing him through the busy New York streets. Hank runs through alleys and crowds, narrowly escaping them. When he finally reaches the bar, he doesn't find the key, only a phone number written on a napkin. He calls it and finds Colorado on the other end. Colorado mentions Yvonne, and Hank instantly realizes she's in danger. He rushes back to her apartment, only to find her lying dead on the floor, shot in the head. Overwhelmed with grief, heartbroken, Hank goes to the police station to speak with Roman, desperate for help. She listens quietly, then agrees to meet him at a diner to discuss what she knows about Colorado and the Russians. But before Hank can understand what's happening, the Russians arrive, revealing a shocking truth. Roman isn't a hero at all. She's been working with the criminals the entire time, taking bribes and planning to retire to Tulum with her share of the money. Roman and the gangsters take Hank back to Paul's bar, forcing him to find the key. Inside, they find Paul and a regular customer nicknamed Amtrak. Things quickly turn bloody. Colorado loses his temper and shoots Amtrak dead. He's about to shoot Paul too when Roman, angry at Colorado for ruining her plans, turns on him and blows his brains out. Chaos erupts. Hank and Paul dive into a small safe room behind the bar, but before they can escape, the Russians kill Paul. Hank barely manages to lock himself in the safe room until the gangsters and Roman leave. Later, Hank remembers his missing clothes from the night he got drunk and searches through the neighborhood. He finds a homeless man named Jason, who's wearing his old jacket, and in its pocket is the key. Grabbing it, Hank goes back to Russ's apartment and waits with a baseball bat in hand. When someone opens the door, Hank swings the bat hard, only to realize it's Russ himself, back from London. Furious and emotional, Hank yells at Russ for disappearing and leaving him to deal with all this chaos, including Yvonne's death. Russ finally comes clean. He admits that he was involved with the Drucker brothers and was helping Colorado run one of their nightclubs. The hidden key is for a storage unit containing $4 million that all of them were planning to split. Roman was part of the deal too, but she owed money to the Russians, which made everything even messier. Hank and Russ decide to go to the storage unit together. But when they get there, Russ tries to betray Hank and escape with all the cash. They fight and Russ ends up falling, hitting his head and getting knocked out. Hank takes the money and drags Russ along. He then arranges a meeting with Roman and the Russians at Flushing Meadows. He offers them a trade, Russ and the key in exchange for Bud the cat. But things go bad again. Russ panics during the deal and starts fighting with Pavel, accidentally shooting and killing Alexei. Hank grabs Bud and escapes with Russ, running through the subway near Shea Stadium. Russ is badly wounded and knows he's dying. Before Hank can say much, Russ smiles weakly, tells Hank to take care of Bud, and dies on the train. Now alone, Hank takes Bud and boards a bus headed for Coney Island. Exhausted, he falls asleep on the beach. When he wakes up, his phone rings. It's Roman. She tells him she plans to blame all the recent murders on him, including Yvonne's death. She even threatens to go after his mother unless he brings the key to the Russian supper club in Brighton Beach. Hank, realizing he has no choice, calls his mother one last time, telling her to get to safety and not to worry about him. Hank then surrenders himself to the Drucker brothers. He offers them a deal. He'll lead them to Russ's hidden money if they promise to kill Roman. The brothers agree. Before carrying out the plan, they take Hank to their mother's house for a Shabbos dinner. A strange, almost calm moment in the middle of the madness. After dinner, they tie Hank to a car wheel outside the supper club and go in to confront Roman. Moments later, gunfire erupts. The Druckers storm the place and shoot everyone inside. Using the heat from the car's lighter, Hank burns the ropes around his wrists and frees himself. He sees Roman trying to escape into the street and runs after her. Pavel appears again, attacking him one last time. The two fight brutally until Hank manages to knock him out cold. Hank finally catches up to Roman and pins her to the ground. In rage, he stabs her foot with a broken bat so she can't move. Before she can beg for her life, the Drucker brothers arrive and shoot her dead. Afterward, the Druckers force Hank to drive them home. They're satisfied with his cooperation and agree to let him live. Hank tells them that the key was hidden in Bud's bandaged leg the entire time. The brothers find it amusing and allow him to keep a small portion of the money. For a brief moment, it looks like everything might finally be over. But then Hank notices something. One of the brothers, Lipa, pulls out a lighter shaped like a gun to light his cigarette. Hank recognizes it immediately. It belonged to Yvonne. That means it was Lipa who killed her. Lipa catches Hank's expression and realizes he's been found out. He tries to explain that Yvonne's death was just business. Collateral damage because Hank ran from them. Hank, filled with rage and grief, sees that he's the only one wearing a seatbelt. Without warning, he slams his foot on the gas pedal, speeding the car straight into a pole. The crash is violent. Lipa flies through the windshield, while Schmully's throat is pierced by shattered glass. Both brothers die instantly. Hank, bloodied but alive, pulls himself out of the wreck. He takes most of the money, grabs Bud, and disappears. Sometime later, we see him lying on the beach in Tulum, starting a new life far away from the chaos. He watches the sunrise with Bud by his side, broken but free. During the credits, we see Hank's mother back in California opening a mysterious envelope. Inside is a large sum of money, a gift from her son, who finally kept his promise to take care of her.